Once again, you're taking a look at the procession being held in honor of people who lost their lives during the recent End Bad Governance protest. All in all, 21 persons were feared killed in Abuja, Kano, Niger, Borno, Kaduna, and Jigawa State. And here in Lagos, in Ikeja to be precise, a procession being held in honor of these people who have lost their lives trying to fight for a struggle for a better Nigeria. As prices have risen and the standard of living has become even more difficult for most Nigerians, they took to the streets August 1st, especially the youth, to present to the Nigerian government their displeasure over the situation and state of things in Nigeria. Unfortunately, 21 people, as I have mentioned from before, lost their lives in this struggle. And this procession is in honor of these people, peaceful and in the company of members of the Nigerian police force. They have walked all the way from Ojota through Awolowo Road and heading to Alausa, although they have been met with certain diversions in their way, some certain roadblocks keeping them away from the governor's house in Alausa. And so far, so good. We've had our representatives who have been at the procession itself and back in the studio here, and some of them still out there. We'll be getting some information from them. But I have Bernard Akede with us here, who was at the procession and is willing to tell us exactly how it went. Bernard, good afternoon. Good to have you back in the studio here with us.
Hi, Mazino. Actually, I wasn't at the procession, okay. I beg your pardon, but, you know, I've been following the, the protests from day 1 up until day 6, day 7, when, when it eventually got suspended. So
indeed, we did see that video of you in such a situation that caused quite an uproar. And, well, thankfully, you got out of that one unharmed. But good to have you here with us. So if you tell us exactly what this procession is about and what's been experienced there, that would be good.
All right. Well, Mazino, like you clearly know, and I think like everybody in Nigeria knows, and even beyond Nigeria, that there's been this protest from the 1st of August up until today, supposed to last for 10 days, tomorrow being the 10th and final day. It's hashtag End Bad Governance in Nigeria. Well, like you rightly mentioned, a couple of people lost their lives, unfortunately, in the course of this protest in certain states, none in Lagos, at least none was recorded in Lagos, but some in certain states, particularly in the northern part of the country. And, some of the conveners of the protest, or organizers, if you like, decided or thought it wise to host a procession, candlelight, they call it, procession, in Ikeja axis of Lagos, at least to honor the dead. They paid the ultimate price, the ultimate sacrifice for a noble cause to end bad governance in Nigeria. I want to believe that they probably would have wanted, the numbers to be more than this, just like how the conveners said they wanted the numbers or number of protesters who have been showing up in the protests to be more than what they actually had. Unfortunately, for certain reasons in Lagos, those numbers did not increase. If anything, as the days went by, those numbers began to dwindle, and it's also showing in this procession that we're watching on screen right now. However, I think it's a noble gesture that they've done to come out and honor those who lost their lives in the struggle for bad governance across the country. And that's exactly what we're seeing. They've been working all the way in Ikeja, and they're going down to Alausa, the seat of government in the state, just to ensure that their voices are heard, to remember the fallen heroes, those who, as I said earlier, paid the ultimate sacrifice.
Okay, then, Bernard, I'm being told that on location is Bettina, and she will be telling us exactly what's going on there. Bettina, good afternoon. Thank you for joining us. Exactly what is being experienced there as the procession moves all the way to Alausa? Do tell us, please.
Maximum wage is what we want. We want students grant, not students loan.
Yes, Bettina, if you can hear me, I'm asking what exactly is happening currently as the procession moves on to Alausa. Well, I'm hoping that she can hear us. Unfortunately, I don't think that she can. But Bernard, let me come back to you. Now, you talked about the dwindling numbers. What does that portend? I don't know if that's the best word to use. But we've seen the numbers dwindle from quite a mass, and then it got fewer and fewer, especially in places like Lagos. And now you've told about this procession and the number of people that were there. But what does this make of the efforts that have been put in by the many people that put their backs to this process since the 1st of August, and also those that have passed on because of the small pockets of violence that we experienced, especially in the north?
Okay, Soweto, one of the conveners of the protest, has been on our show a couple of times, and I think the day after the president gave his speech, which was on Sunday, on Monday, or either that Sunday or Monday, Soweto, did speak about the numbers again. And unfortunately, you could actually tell from his facial expression that there's been a lot of disappointment when it comes to when it came to the numbers or the number of people who appeared on the procession. It's looking like we have Bettina.
Bernard, yeah, pardon me. I'm going to have to bring in Bettina. I think we fixed our communication. Bettina, good afternoon. Do tell us exactly what's happening on location at the procession, please. Bettina, I'm hoping that you can hear us. Well, Bernard, unfortunately, Bettina... Okay, there she is.
Here live in front of ShopRite in Ikeja, where the protesters have gotten to. And you can also see that there is a barricade of policemen in front of me to make sure that the protesters do not go beyond ShopRite and head into Alausa. If you turn with me, you can see a couple of policemen forming like a barricade to make sure that, there is security, there is law, there is peace, there is order, and that this protest is not hijacked. You can also see them with everything that they have come with, their weapons, to make sure that there is sanity in this area of Lagos State. But they have refused to allow the protesters who are processing on a candle walk to get to Alausa. Earlier on, we saw the Assistant Commissioner of Police inside his vehicle. Whether he is the one who gave that order, I cannot confirm at this point. But you can see that both pressmen and protesters have been stopped at this ShopRite junction to turn around instead of heading towards Alausa. Now, one of the organizers of the protest is speaking, so let us join him to see and hear what he has to say to the people of this great nation, Nigeria.
Because of his criminal anti-poor economic policies. Those policies have turned all of us into paupers. Those who have jobs have none anymore. Those who are students, they can no more afford school fees. Those who are farmers, they are unable to go to farms anymore because of insecurity. Our traders are not able to survive because nobody is buying their commodities anymore. Workers are living in penury because the minimum wage, including the new one, cannot take them home. This struggle is not about tribe. This struggle is not about religion. This struggle is for all of us who are united by a common condition of hunger and hardship. And the struggle is not taking place in Lagos alone. It is taking place across the entire country. Today is day 9 of this 10 days struggle. What we are here to do today is to mourn our brothers and our sisters who have been killed across the country, especially in the north, by the police and other security agencies acting under the orders of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. We are here to say that Tinubu's hands are filled with blood. We are here to say that we hold President Tinubu responsible for the killings of over 40 protesters across the country. Many of these protesters were killed not because they were violent, but because they were demonstrating their right to peaceful assembly against the condition of hunger and hardship that is going on in this country. We are here to show solidarity with them, to say we stand by them, to say we demand justice for their killings, to demand the immediate sack of the Inspector General of Police for killing Nigerians across the country, to also demand that all of our demands must be met, to also demand that the hundreds of those who have been arrested and have been detained across the country over the past 9 days, they must be released unconditionally and forthwith. One of them is the national coordinator of the Youth Right Campaign, Comrade Adaramoye Michael Lenny, who was abducted in his home at 2 a.m. on Sunday night. Up till now, the DSS and other security agencies are denying that they were the one that arrested him. But we know for sure that he's in their custody and he must be released forthwith. alongside many other peaceful protesters across the country. Today, we are marching to mourn those who have been killed. We believe that why they were killed is simply because they dared to come out peacefully to protest. I would like to urge all of us solemnly to observe 1 minute silence in their memory. Candles up, please. Your candle. Light your candle. Light your candle. Don't light it. Orun la leda, orun la leda, orun la leda, orun la leda. Ẹ̀yin tẹ́ pa protesters tẹ́ jẹ́ ó dàgbà o. Orun la leda, igi awo pa yín, igi awo pa wọ́n. Igi awo pa wọ́n, igi awo pa wọ́n.
Okay, there we can see the procession as it goes on in Ikeja, as the procession leads or takes its walk all the way to Alausa. However, they have been cordoned off from Alausa itself. I still have Bernard, who has been following the protests since the 1st of August and on location. Bettina will be joining us shortly. We'll be asking her exactly what the state of things are. As we've just seen Bernard there holding a, 1 minute silence. Unlit, the candles weren't lit. I could hear somebody in the background saying, don't light it. However, before we went to that, you were telling us exactly what the significance of the dwindling numbers might mean for the protests since the 1st of August. Yeah, I was mentioning that the gentleman who was speaking there, who looks like the convener of this, this procession.
Yeah,
that's Soweto.
Exactly. If you can remember the last time when he was on the show here, after the president had put out a speech, and that was actually the beginning of when the protests really began to break down in Lagos, you could tell from his facial expression that he was pretty much disappointed at the numbers and the turnout. And I think it's because, I think why that really happened in Lagos is because from the very beginning, the authorities have been looking for ways to ensure that the numbers didn't grow. In fact, to ensure that the numbers weren't so large in any way. First of all, there was a court injunction confining the protesters to a particular place, which makes it easier for them to be controlled, which makes it difficult for their numbers to grow because the numbers they would have is a function of the area they are confined to, So that was the first challenge. And then putting them there again, it's easy to have security operatives monitor them as much as they want, control them as much as they want. And that definitely happened, making their numbers even smaller. And then, there's been this, I wouldn't want to use the word clamp down, but there's been this sort of subtle control or unspoken control of the protests and protesters in Lagos by security operatives, thus making some of the protesters or would-be protesters not come out for fear for themselves. And then again, putting the protest in a certain place is difficult for certain people to come from certain parts of Lagos. And I'll give an illustration, just as it was done on some of the shows. You put a protest somewhere in Ojota. How do people from the island make it down to Ojota and back? How do people from Festac make it down to Ojota and back? How do people from Ekpe make it down there, that way and back? So these hindrances made the numbers dwindle per day. And then, of course, with the again, I don't want to use the word attacks, but with the heavy-handedness of some security operatives on protesters and on journalists alike, myself being an example, that definitely was, or these definitely were some of the reasons that made the numbers, drop a little bit. And we're seeing a reflection of that here as well.
All right, now, Benna, let's go to the session going on right now with Bettina there. Bettina, once again, if you could tell us what's happening currently at the procession. They've been stopped from advancing into Alausa. What exactly is their aim if they could get to Alausa? What do they want to do? What does is the leadership of the protest, or rather the procession, currently saying that their aim is? Oh dear, I think we've lost Bettina once again. But Bernard, I'll direct that to you. So the procession is moving all the way to Alausa. We are not exactly sure what the aim of the procession is when they get to Alausa. That's the governor's office itself. So if you can intimate us, if you have heard anything about what they want to do when they get there, if they can get there.
I haven't heard about what they intend to do, what they intended to do, should they have, gotten to Alausa. But from experience, from other protests that I have covered, getting to Alausa, more often than not, here's what they basically do. They get there, get to an open space. What they're doing now in front of Circle Mall is what they would have been doing when they go to Alausa, making their voices heard. Only thing is that it would have been, at least they would have felt that it would have carried more, it would have packed more punch. It would have had more impact, because Alausa, again, seat of government in Lagos, if they didn't have the governor, they may have had the deputy governor. I mean, chances are that they will have somebody in government, in Lagos state government, who would have come there to listen to them. Basically, it's obvious that security operatives are stopping them from getting there just because they are probably preempting there may be some kind of trouble or some kind of violence, but not letting them get there. However, these are the same things that the protesters are talking about. You're not letting their voices be heard by those who should hear their voices. So stopping them halfway is just bringing back the issues that they're talking about.
So it seems like a certain asphyxiation of the process, not letting it to breathe or grow. While that's credits to the security forces, they'll say that they've managed to hold it down here in Lagos. Then for the protesters, it's not exactly the best. But Bernard, thank you very much for bringing us the details from day one up until today. I bet we're going to perhaps maybe even see you tomorrow or next telling us about this inside of Breakfast Extra. I'm holding you to that now. Thank you very much, Bernard.
Thank you for having me.
Let's go on a break now. Do keep it here on News Central. We'll bring you more information about the End Bad Governance protests as it continues, even with the procession that's going on in Ikeja today. Do stay tuned. We'll bring you more after.